Hello everybody and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast, episode 60. Hello a croeso I podcast rhif 60. My name is Mr. Gareth Evans and joining me today is Mr. Henry Oh So Slick Cooper.
Slick boy.
Mr.
It's because it's too hot to wear a hat. I can't be dealing with it. But this is my my Albert Wesker hair from Resident Evil. Because he always has it back. And you should definitely watch it. Go find it on YouTube. The original opening cinematic for the original Resident Evil on the PS1, because it's terrible. Full motion video. I think it's I don't actually think it's the intro cinematic. I think it's a promotional thing. They say Chris Redfield, he loads his gun. Jill Valentine, she gets a knife. Then it's Albert Wesker, and he just goes like this. He just pushes his hair back. It's really lame.
Wow. We need to get Metal Shark on getting a new emote on the Discord. With
that'll be it.
Man.
Just.
Yeah, that's it. Right, that one.
It takes a long time to do.
I'm sure Metal Shark's already done it. His efficiency is off the charts, so he's already replying to this post.
Yep.
On the Discord.
So join the PGG Discord. There's 6 different emojis of me now, just in different things.
Yeah.
Some are.
Wait, you shaved your beard
funny.
a couple of weeks ago, right? And you shared the images of your various different shapes as you were doing it, and everyone's got an emoji now. And that's pretty cool. That's nice.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing the quarantine beard, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm going to do the opposite, and I'll get a pedo mustache."
Yeah. One of them, that was a pretty scary image.
My mum was a big fan.
I'm sure she was.
No, she fucking hated it.
I managed to cut my hair this week, so I'm not so bad anymore. You can't see the back.
Did you do it?
I can't see the back.
Did you do it yourself?
Yeah, I did it myself. Obviously, I can't see the back. You can't see the back. I'm good with that. So it's not as long as before, and I'm happy. So, who knew it was so easy to cut your own hair? So long as nobody has to see it, it's fine.
As long as it doesn't have to look good.
Yeah, exactly. It's so easy. Anyway, let's get on with some gaming stuff then. So today, we've both been playing games this week. So I'm going to talk about Gears Tactics and my time with that to begin, and then Henry, just in time for the new Assassin's Creed announcement, which happens after recording this. You already know about the new Assassin's Creed. We don't, because we're back in time. Yeah. It's like going back in time to listen to what we said 2 days ago. The announcement is today in 4 or 5 hours for us, so we didn't have enough time to include that. But on the Assassin's Creed note, you have been playing Odyssey, which you're going to be discussing, right?
Yep. Got some thoughts.
Got some thoughts on Odyssey. Just in time for the new one. Then we're going to be taking some Patreon questions from the Discord, which is cool. Then we're going to go to the Triggered Fanboy Comment of the Week, if we can find one. We've been struggling to scrape one together because we've been trying to avoid Last of Us Part 2 spoilers by not reading any of those comments. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of triggered people in those comments. But we've been avoiding spoilers. So we're going to struggle to get a Triggered Fanboy, let's be honest. However, we do have another bunch of YouTube comments this week to discuss. And then after that, the Bad Dad Joke of the Week. And that will be awesome. All right, so first up, it is Gears Tactics. Now, this is one of those games that's off everybody's radar. Nobody thinks a lot of. It's another Gears of War game, another spin-off type of franchise thing, right? But I tell you what, it's a decent, well-made game. It's well-polished. And for those of you who haven't played it or seen of it, I wouldn't be surprised about that at all.
There's been so little promotion around it, especially because it's Gears of War. It's Microsoft's major exclusive at the moment. Halo's in a kind of a lull until whatever the new one is. Infinite Halo, is that it?
Yeah. Until
whenever that comes out. Gears is kind of their only big tentpole at the moment. So it's weird that they've not really promoted it.
Yeah, it's kind of like, obviously, for those of you who don't know, it's an XCOM ripoff. It's like a tactical turn-based game. And yeah, you get 4 troops, and you set out your moves. You use your movement points, and it's the enemy's turn, and it's your turn. Everyone knows the XCOM formula now, so it's a bit of a rip-off. Let's be honest, right? And they could have done this, Microsoft Studios could have done this with any franchise, but they've slapped the Gears name on it. And I tell you what, it doesn't half fit well with the Gears franchise. It's a great fit. It's Gears is cover-based shooter. And these tactical turn-based things, XCOM like thing, they're cover-based too. It works really well. It's in this setting where you've got loads and loads of enemies that you can just kill indiscriminately and not care about their families and stuff like that. They just throw loads of enemies at you. They explode. It's happy days. It looks good. And you're a bunch of hardened veteran dudes who are
burly blokes.
Very grunty and burly. And it just works well. It's a good fit for the franchise, that's for sure. So the question remains, right? Is it a good XCOM type game? Like, does it add anything new to the formula? How does it change? How does it introduce Gears elements into this genre of game? It does that really well. I must admit. So it does add a new feature. One of the most notable features for me. I'm not going to talk about it in depth. I've played 3 or 4 hours of it, and I've seen a bunch of reviews on that. I don't have a great deal of experience with it, but I'll just give you my first impressions, right? So one of the biggest changes, or the one of the things that they've introduced here is the ability to gain more movement points during your turn, right? So you get 3 movement points to begin with, and you use those movement points up for one to shoot, one to reload, and a number to move depending on how far you want to move. So that's just a standard thing, right? However, there's a finishing move in this game, right? So if you kill an enemy, sometimes they don't die. Sometimes they're just about to die. They need finishing off, essentially. They're waiting to die. They will die in the next move if you don't get to them. But if you get to them and finish them off, the rest of your squad gets an extra movement point, right? And it sounds small. It doesn't sound like it's going to do much to your game. However, when you chain these together, and you've got a bunch of enemies that you can, a guy goes over there, gets an extra move for all the rest of his, another guy goes, gets an extra, you can chain these moves together, and it becomes like, I don't know, it adds an extra layer of tactics, because you've got to think about, this guy's going to need an extra move to do it. Where can I get it? It just gives you an extra layer of things to think about. And then once these things start chaining, you can act, if all your squads are working together as a team, it really quite satisfying when it comes to you can take down a bunch of enemies in just one move, and you're like, wow, that was actually, you put a lot of thought into it. You structured you thought about what moves are going to happen and when, and you can pull off some good combos, and it's really cool. It makes your squad work like a well-oiled machine, like Gears, you could say, like Gears. Get it? But that's just that is just one way in which they've kind of iterated on this this genre, and I think it's such a good addition because it adds more things to think about, more decisions to make each turn, and it's essentially improving the game, improving the genre. So a little bit about
proper. Sorry, that's a proper Gearsy thing. Taking one of the core elements of the main games, the third-person cover shooting, is they're really, really violent, and you can execute people in brutal fucking ways. Yeah. So taking that and sticking it into the turn-based setting could have just been, okay, it's just an extra move, but embedding it into the tactics is a much cleverer way to do it, and as you say, it gives you more options.
Yeah. Oh, it makes the game better. That's for sure. It definitely improves the game. So I played XCOM, right? Just a little bit of a background on my time with this genre. I played XCOM, absolutely loved it. I completed the first game. Played XCOM 2, I hated it. I felt stressed the whole time, and the reason was that they introduced a mission turn limit. So you'd be thrown into a mission, you've got 8 turns before the whole thing explodes, everyone dies. And it's like, shit. You can't play defensively. You can't take your time and think about, flanking people. You've just got to go head on. Because if you don't get there in time, those 8 moves or whatever, it's game over. And that, that basically what the devs were doing, they were forcing you to play aggressively. There's more risk but more reward. So apparently it becomes more enjoyable when you play it like that. But I like to play defensively, so I didn't connect with XCOM 2. So I put it down shortly after realizing that it was brutal, and I'm not that type of player anyway. So other games I've tried to iterate on in the past. Mario and Rabbids Kingdom did a version of XCOM, which was it was so annoying because there was there's an overworld map where you're running around and then you get lost and it's like, where do I go next? It's like, just get me to the battles. God damn it. Anyway, but I think this, in terms of XCOM iterations, this is a solid entry. It really is. So just to sum up some of the other things that I've seen so far, the story, not much to report. It could be any other Gears of War game. The cutscenes, identical. The only difference is when the cutscene ends, you're on a tactical map and you're playing a tactical game rather than a third-person cover shooter. But in terms of it being a Gears game, it is 100% AAA, well-made, well-polished game. And it feels good to play. There's plenty of options on the battlefield. All your units have got all different abilities and things. However, you've got an Overwatch ability, right? So what that is if you've got like movement points to spare, you can set them up in Overwatch so they just cover a direction, and you point in the direction you want them to cover from. So you can basically set your whole squad up on Overwatch and then just watch what are they called? The enemies? Locusts. You watch the locusts just come into the arcs of your Overwatch and they all get decimated. It's very, very fun, but it's slightly OP. It's cool. It's really cool. But however, the enemies have got Overwatch ability too, which is they use it quite often. So there's a lot of strategy how to disable their Overwatch ability to get your person who's being suppressed or whatever. There's so much to it. It's really cool. So the progression is pretty solid. There's two ways to progress. There's the progression see on each of your characters, and there's the upgrades that you find, like chests out in the world, which is basically a loot crate, because ones that you don't pay for. But when you get it back to your base or whatever, you open it and it's just a random reward. And there's also rewards for completing missions without downing enemies or whatever random things as well. And there is a lot of upgrades in the tree. So there's a lot of things to get your teeth stuck into, and you can cater your upgrades to how you want to use that character. For example, your healer, you can add 100% healing if the person you're healing is under 50%. There's loads of different ways that you can spec out your squad in order to complement one another, which is great because all these games are all about making decisions, and that's cool. So in terms of weapons and upgrades, you don't get new weapons, you just upgrade your weapons. And I talked about the mods that you get out in the field from the loot crates. You just open a mod, and at the end of the mission, you apply the mod to your weapons, and you make 5% more damage. Yay! But it leaves out the problem of having just too many weapons to choose from or whatever, with slightly different, better numbers or whatever. So at least it keeps it clean in that respect. And yeah, I've talked about it being a great fit for the franchise. It's available on Game Pass apparently for PC, but not on Xbox, right? You're going to want to pick it up on Xbox, I heard you mention or something.
Yeah, I think it seems odd to me that Microsoft have sort of dropped the ball on this one with regards to it being on Xbox, because XCOM stuff is built for PC. It works best on PC because it's designed with a mouse and keyboard input in mind, and that's the exact same case with this one. I've heard the developers saying like, yeah, we're building it for PC, but because Gears is a Xbox brand, I would have thought Microsoft would be like hot on it to get them to launch in tandem, like at the same time, but they haven't. And the Xbox is supposed to be coming, but they haven't told us when, and it's meant to just be coming like sometime in 2020. But I don't know, it just seems like a weird one to let one of their biggest, as I said earlier, their biggest tentpole, at least at the moment, not be on their platform exclusively. I don't know. Seems
Yeah,
weird.
I mean, I get it. From a PC gamer's point of view, this is the best way to do it, right? It's obviously, this is just my opinion, but if they produce it on the highest spec hardware, which is the PC, and then port it to the other console, because there's a new console generation on the corner as well. So if they focused on releasing it on the Xbox, then there'd be a lot of upgrading to do. Whereas if they release it on the PC, it looks great, by the way. There's a lot of detail in the textures and stuff, and it's a really good looking game. So they've been able to focus on those parts of the game, which if they would have released it in tandem with the Xbox, it would have taken more time, it would have been delayed, whatever. But this way, obviously, it being a tactical turn-based game, it sits nicely on a PC. It will come to Xbox. It'll probably come to Xbox Series X too, and it probably will all the better for it, I think. So I see what you're saying in terms of you don't have you want to play it on Xbox, you want to play it. It is coming, but you'll get a better version of it for that, I think.
Yeah, it's just I don't really have a problem with it because I'm comfortable with waiting a little bit longer, but it just seems a little odd that they'd let their prize chicken disappear. But it is coming eventually, so it's just a matter of patience.
It's available on Game Pass now. I think it's £50 or something if you don't get it on games. Game Pass. It's available. Game Pass for PC. It's available on Steam, so that's good. A nice option there for players. And the last thing to say, I guess, is there is no microtransactions in this game. You pay for what you get. So far,
I even put that in the trailer.
Yeah, there is loot boxes in it. But whether there is room for cosmetic microtransactions in future, I don't know. It would definitely just ease in after launch. You wouldn't. There wouldn't take a lot of doing to open that door. That's for sure. It wouldn't take a lot of.
But there's no multiplayer at the moment, right? It's just a single player thing.
A single player campaign type of game. And you covered it in the Daily Triple, I think yesterday, a few days ago, if you're watching this on YouTube on the weekend or whatever. But 80% on Metacritic, rated very solidly. And a lot of people are enjoying it. I would say that if you were a die-hard XCOM fan, especially XCOM 2 fan, you probably think that this is a little bit watered down. But I think in terms of how I appreciate this game and what I get out of these games, this is perfect. It really is a good game, and I may be enjoying it slightly more than XCOM. The problem with this is there's no meta game. With XCOM there is management of the hub world. When you get after mission, you've got to upgrade your home base, and you've got to allocate research points into getting new tech and stuff like that. There's none of that in this. It's just mission, upgrade screen, next mission, next upgrade screen, and on. So it's just easy. It's more palatable for people who are newcomers to this type of genre. That's for sure. And I think it's got a little bit broader appeal. It'll be great when it gets to consoles, because I think console gamers are screaming out for this type of game. I think it's a thumbs up all around for me from what I've played so far. I have heard whispers that some of the side missions could get repetitive with using the same missions and stuff like that. It's a bit grindy, but I haven't experienced any of that yet. But I am enjoying it for what it's on the Game Pass for PC, which I've already got. So it's a win-win for me. And those are my thoughts on Gears Tactics.
Yeah, I definitely plan to pick it up eventually when it comes to Xbox. I love Gears, talked about it all the time, and I never played XCOM 1, but I played XCOM 2, and I hated it at first, and I got through the first mission, everyone was dead, and I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to progress? Then I was like, right, no, let's give it another chance, restarted, and just got things rolling much better, and I really enjoyed it, and eventually I finished it. So I'm well up for XCOM with a Gear skin, even if that's all it is, and it's nothing more than that.
It is more than that. It is definitely more than that. There's more to it. There's more options. There's more decisions, and it feels very satisfying when you chain these moves together. When you set up a decent Overwatch and they just throw themselves into it, and you're like, yes, it's satisfying.
You've fallen into my trap.
That's it, yeah. And that's it. Anyway, shall we move on next to what game you've been playing?
A game that I'm much less excited about is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now, it is just convenient timing that this week is Assassin's Creed week, and what's it called? They named it yesterday. Valhalla. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, confirmed, is in the Viking period, which is a really exciting time period.
That was the worst announcement, wasn't it? Some people do like... drip feed you an announcement over time, and they do it really well. What they did was they put a Twitter video of somebody drawing a picture of like a Viking, and it took eight I don't know how many hours it took.
It wasn't like all day. Lapse. It was real time. I mean, it's an interesting way to do it. It's unique.
One of the worst reveals in history.
I don't see how anyone could watch the whole thing. I stuck it on like in the background while I was editing yesterday, and I was like, oh, let's see what, it's been an hour, has anything changed? No. He's tweaked this little bit, but it's not anything significant.
It reminds me of the Fallout 76 live stream reveal, where at least they had people popping in and it was like, oh, let's check the live stream to see what's happening. This might be some... This, you knew that in 3 hours' time, he's just going to be working on the beard. He's just going to be like polishing up a little bit of the background. It's like, come on. This isn't any decent reveal. Come on, try harder.
Just wait a couple hours and look at the real thing. Anyway, it's Assassin's Creed Valhalla. But before any of that was on anyone's lips, I bought for, I think it was like 20 quid, Assassin's Creed Odyssey on the PlayStation Store because they had a big spring sale. And it was the... Oh, what the fuck do they call it? I think it might just be called Deluxe Edition. But you know how it is with Ubisoft, they have like 1,000 editions. And I couldn't even get the standard edition because the deluxe edition was the cheapest one in the sale or whatever. So I was like, oh, screw it, I'll buy it. It looks decent. I enjoy ancient Greece. I don't have the highest hopes for it because a lot of the criticisms people have of it I can see in like trailers and that. And I don't love it. I think it's the two most recent Assassin's Creed games, Odyssey and Origins, have been quite a big shift for the franchise into more full-on RPG territory, with RPG mechanics coming out of their ears. And I personally don't think it's the best way for the franchise to go. It's not for me. It's not what I play Assassin's Creed for. But I'll get onto that. So I didn't play Origins. That's points again. I was torn between getting Origins and Odyssey, and ultimately it came down I like ancient Greece more than I like ancient Egypt. So that's the end of that. So this one is stuffed full of RPG stuff. Now, Assassin's Creed to me is about assassins and being stealthy and sneaking through a place, killing a target, and then getting out again. That's not at all what this game is about, or the series seems to be about anymore. You're not an assassin for starters, and most people don't really care about the lore of Assassin's Creed and like the assassins versus the Templars, and then all the bollocks with the I don't even know what there's like aliens and shit which came before, and the Apple of Eden and all that crap. It's all convoluted, but most people want Assassin's Creed just for some cool historical time periods and killing people. Which, I mean, what more do you need? So this one, RPG stuff, it's full of loot. There's like character levels, separate progression paths for your character, for your ship. There's skill trees, there's main quests, side quests, timed quests, character quests. And the map is full of waypoints. It's completely chock-a-block, full of stuff and little question marks. You can go here, there's a building, you can look in it, you can read some history, or there's a little town, and then there's a blacksmith, and this and that and that and that. And it's one of the most Ubisoft games I've played in a very long time for that reason. And it's got what I think they call it like exploration mode or something, where it doesn't pin in the map where you're supposed to go. It'll give you like directions, so it'll be like head north of this town and then east of this temple, then around that area you'll find where you need to go. And I really like that idea for not following a waypoint and just being able to be like, okay, I can figure it out myself. I can
immerse
find where
yourself
I need to
in the game a bit more. Yeah.
But I think it is completely shattered by you don't have a mini map. You've got like a compass along the top, like in a Skyrim or an Elder Scrolls type thing. Any sense of exploration is completely shattered then, because that thing is stuffed full of other waypoints and shit that are all just in the way. And having to head to these places, like head north of the tower and east of the village or whatever, to find that I'm going to need to put a pin in it manually anyway to know where that is, because it's not like a city with recognizable structures or anything. A lot of the map is very barren and open, and it's just hilly, and then there's a few little shitty villages because it's in ancient Greece. So I think for that reason, this setting might not be best suited to an Assassin's Creed type game, because again, to me, Assassin's Creed is sneaking through a dense city or a population center or something like that and climbing up the rooftops to get different vantage points. But that doesn't happen because we're out in the open, and there's occasional fortresses and stuff that I've got to infiltrate, but stealth's just barely an option, and that and that's one of my major problems with it, because that's part of what I play it for. I want to go in. I love stealth games. I want to go in, kill the target, or not even necessarily kill them, just like non-lethally take them out. That's always my preferred option, and then fuck off without anyone knowing I was there, like an assassin. But that's not really a thing. You can assassinate people, but because every enemy has a character level now, a lot of them can just resist it. So you can jump on them from, a million stories up. Yeah. The meme of Assassin's Creed is that it doesn't matter how high you jump, so long as you land in a hay bale or on someone, you'll be fine. Mm-hmm. So you jump on these guys, you stab them with your spear. You don't have a hidden blade this time, it's just a spear, because again, you're not an assassin in lore, like whatever. Yeah. You jump on it, but he's not dead. He's just injured a little bit. And I feel like that sort of stuff bugs me because it's just arbitrary. Yeah. There's no reason for it other than because the numbers say so. And for a lot of people, that's not a problem, and that's fine. But for me, it just really gets in the way. And all of this game does just boil down to different numbers.
Oh, I mean, tell me about it. I mean, I'm going to interject here because I'm boiling over at the thought of what Ubisoft have done to their games recently. Far Cry, New Dawn, I tried recently. I haven't talked about it a lot, but I mean, my stick in memory is getting to one point and this big bear came at me, and it's level 35 with a gold thing around it, and you're piling, like, I've got this decent big this submachine gun, right? And I'm just piling bullets into it, piling bullets into it, and it's hardly dent. And like, this is a bear. This isn't an armor-plated bear. This isn't a robotic. This isn't a mutant bear. This is a regular bear out in the wild. And it's like, this is the direction that Ubisoft have gone with their games, and I think that this is the height of where they're going. With this type of thing, just making all the games very generic, adding these RPG elements just so they can sell microtransactions and time saver shit and all that, right? So I think they've pulled back because at the end of last year, Egamo stated after the disaster that was Breakpoint that they're going to try change things up. They've restructured the way that they're dealing with games and that, and then hopefully what we get out of it is games like Valhalla, that's what it's called. Valhalla be a little bit different to this, and we get an assassin in an Assassin's Creed game again, and we get bears that aren't level 35 and utterly immortal to bullets, because that is not what gamers want. That's just generic bullshit. Gamers want unique, crafted experiences, and hopefully, with any luck, this is the height of the Ubisoftification, or whatever Jim Sterling calls it.
Yeah. Like, that's the stealth stuff. When I stab someone, I expect them to be dead. Like, that's just it. But then in combat, that's one of the things where it really lets me down. And it's not even bad combat. I just really don't like it. Like, I know a lot of people really like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and a lot of people praise all of this RPG stuff that they've added to it, and adds all this depth and that. But none of it's really resonating with me, and I don't dislike the game really. I don't dislike it. I just think it's not what I play Assassin's Creed for, and I don't think any of these changes are for its benefit. So in terms of combat, there's a really wide variety of weapons, which is great. There's swords, daggers, spears, staffs, and then like big axes and clubs and shit. I think they're all in the same category. And that's cool. They all feel sort of different, but not really. But they're all expanded by loot, and you can get different coloured rarities and stuff. So there's your common sword's not going to be as good as the legendary sword and all that. One thing I do really like, though, is that for the vanity aspect of the game, if you don't like the way something looks, if you've collected something that looks cooler but has way worse stats, you can make the better item look like that without any problems, so long as you've collected it already, which I think is a really nice, easy way to do it. Because, like, I mean, I don't want to have a ridiculous helmet when the rest of my outfit is all matching and it's all, one colour, and I've got this fucking dumb thing. No, I'm going to make it look how I want to make it look. And I really like that. I think it's a really good thing. Mm-hmm. But all of the weapons, they feel slightly different, but ultimately you are just chipping away at a health bar that's above this person's head, and none of my hits ever feel like they're doing damage other than what's coming up on the nick on the health bar. And maybe it's just me having played games like God of War, and I think God of War from 2018 had possibly the best melee combat in recent memory. I absolutely loved it. Every hit felt like a hit. All the animations were gorgeous and fluid and everything. I felt like I was doing damage, even if I wasn't necessarily, because they did have a health bar. It made me feel like that, which I think Assassin's Creed just doesn't quite get right. And possibly the biggest sin in regards to combat and weapons and stuff, I'm in ancient Greece. Ancient Greeks conquered and killed each other. That's what they did. Part of that success was down to their battle tactics, and a core of their battle tactics was using a fucking shield. Why, in a video game set in ancient Greece, with all these weapons and all this focus on being a Spartan and like a lost Spartan prince and all this crap, why can't I use a shield? You could use one in Origins, so you've already got your tech ready to go. And that's set in ancient Egypt, where, I mean, they used shields, but it's not as iconic as it is in ancient Greece. It upsets me.
I mean, the Greek hoplite, a famous type of warrior, right? Round shield, big long spear. That's Greek, ancient Greek. When I conjure up an image of a Greek, ancient Greek like warrior, that's it. Like spear and shield. That's the Greek warrior. But no, not in this game.
It broke my heart. Honestly, I was playing for a few hours and I was like, oh well, like surely maybe I'll get to like a certain level and I'll unlock the ability to pick up a shield, which is really daft. But no,
have to pay a microtransaction for it.
Can you imagine? But nope, it just doesn't happen. You even get the ability to rip other people's shields from them, and at that point I was like, oh, maybe then that's how I can. No,
you just can't hold it.
No
it's
shield.
Too hot. They get really hot. It's really hot in that Greek sun. So when you get your shield, too hot. Just got to drop it.
And I was thinking, okay, well maybe because it's an Assassin's Creed game, you do a lot of climbing. The climbing's good in this. You can climb pretty much any rocky surface. It doesn't matter about handholds. You can just scale it. A lot like in Breath of the Wild, you can just climb it, which I think is a good addition. But so I was like, okay, well maybe if having a bloody great shield on your back, running around, that's maybe not conducive to a world that it's not very realistic. If you mean like flipping off stuff and doing rolls when you've got a huge great shield on your back, fair enough. But every single spear you use, every single one, is a collapsible spear that you can store on your back, because it goes from a full length, I don't know how long an average spear is, like 2 meters, 2.5, 3 meters, whatever. But then it shrinks. Not it does. Down to like that big, but it shrinks a lot and hops on your back. So
telescopic spears, man.
Yeah, exactly. Why can't I have a collapsible shield like in God of War? He has one that fits into just his forearm. Like, it upsets me a lot more than maybe it should. But give me a fucking shield. If Valhalla doesn't have a shield, then I might. Then it's a no buy.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's hope for Valhalla, right? Because of how Ubisoft supposedly had changed. However, you think of Valhalla. Do you think of when you think of Vikings? Do you think of assassins? Do you think of sneaking around? No, you think of big axes, big shields, and lots of warfare, raping and pillaging. That's what Vikings did. They didn't sneak around, knife in the back. They didn't do that shit. I mean,
yeah, which is
jury
why
is
it's
out.
Going to be an interesting way to, especially given all of my criticisms, how I don't feel like an assassin. How are they going to do that in this one? But if they make that the point,
yeah,
like it may be an interesting way to do it. Or maybe if you're leaning more on the side of someone like Loki and being shifty, if that's like your character driving force as opposed to someone like Thor or Balder or whatever. But altogether, there's nothing really wrong with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. But to me, there's just not a lot right with it. And the whole numbers, everything feeling like a numbers game is emblematic of how I feel about the whole thing altogether. The very first thing I did when I started the game, you're dropped into the Battle of Thermopylae, which is the battle in 300. Well, that's not historically accurate whatsoever, but that's what it's based on. Against the Persians. Immediately in that fight, I was like, right, into the menu, turn damage numbers off. Can't stand it. I know some people like damage numbers. For me, I just think I don't want to do 10 damage or 15 damage. I want to hit him with a sword and I want him to bleed and eventually die. Not necessarily in one hit, but something that feels like I'm doing damage. Telling me I'm doing 10% damage with this weapon, but you'll do 15 with this weapon. That doesn't do anything for me. And it just feels like everything is numbers playing on each other. Like, so before going into Odyssey, I was playing a bunch of Red Dead Redemption 2 online with my brother. And I think something like that and that world crafted in that detail might have hurt my perception of this, because that world is crafted in such fine detail to make it feel a certain way. To make it feel like you're in the Wild West, you feel like a cowboy. Whereas I think Assassin's Creed, I never felt like an assassin or a Spartan, or I was really in Greece. I was just in a world. And there's a lot of detail. There's a lot of historical research that goes into a lot of this stuff, and that's what most of the stuff that I find the most interesting is learning about all this stuff and all the gods and all that. But there's a level of fidelity that just isn't there, like there is in Red Dead. For all of Red Dead's faults, like the controls are really janky a lot of the time, the shooting just is odd, but the world building and being in that space is just a different league compared to Odyssey, and they both came out in the same year. So that's just gameplay feel, right? How it feels to play the game. And the Ubisoft games recently have not been great to feeling to play them. They've just been, like you said, like you call it, a numbers game. There's hopefully they turn that around anyway. So there you have it. That is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So we're going to move on now to the questions from the Discord. Now, the Discord, sorry, let's talk about Patreon. The Patreon is set up to help us bring you this content. So if you go to patreon.com/prettygoodgaming and sign up, you get various rewards such as early access to the podcast and other such things. You get Discord rights to see the whole of the Discord, where we chat often with the community, play games sometimes too. And every single week we have some new recruits to the Patreon, and I want to thank this week Manicalmadman, who just flew in there with a $25 pledge. This is the premier tier. You get your name in the credits and everything now. Manicalmadman. Manicalmadman. I always read it wrong. Manicalmadman. If you're giving that much money, I should get your bloody name right. Thanks very much, sir. Dominic Broom donated pledged $1. T1TTY Leds. I'm not going to read that out. Titty Leds. I mean, $1 pledge.
You call yourself what you want, dude. Thanks very much. And Happy Jack with the $1 pledge too. So far this month, we are up $49.60, baby. Although we were down six pledgers. So in total, we've dropped 6 people. But the people who've come have pledged more. So thank you very much to everyone who does. I know it's a period of financial difficulty. So we more than ever do appreciate people coming in and pledging to support us. Because without the Patreons and without the support over on Patreon, we would not be able to continue operating. That is just the short and curlies of it, essentially. So one of the rewards for being a patron is asking us questions on the podcast every week, and this is what brings us to these questions. This is from our faithful community. Just a quick shout out to, if you do want to join the Discord, you don't get all the privileges, but it is open to the public now, and there's a link down in the description of this video. We've had a few people come and join us on the few channels that are available to the general public. You're quite welcome to come in and participate too. And with that, let's move to the first question. Now, this is Metal Shark's recurring quiz, and this is what he said this week. This week's quiz is for Henry, unable to be given monikers by others, Cooper, who foolishly, bravely suggested he'd do better this week instead of handing the baton to Gaz. So you must have said something offhand like, I'll do better next week. Well, lo and behold, Metal Shark said that, took that to mean that you want another quiz this week. So to make things a bit fairer, it'll be based on a topic you know, asking, is it a quote from a movie or a quote from a game? All right, so you haven't seen the answers to these, and I'm going to ask you them now. And you've got to answer, is this a quote from a movie or quote from a game? So you should at least get a few of these, right? So the first quote is, it's a funny thing, ambition. It can take one to sublime heights or harrowing depths, and sometimes they are one and the same. Is that a movie or a game?
I mean, it sounds a bit familiar, but I'm not sure if that's just the it's a funny thing blank, because that sounds like a bunch of different movies. Like, I don't know.
What's your answer? Gonna have to rush you.
I'm gonna say. Let's go for a movie. I don't know what movie, but I'm gonna guess a movie.
Okay. It is Dishonored. Emily Caldwin. The game Dishonored.
Fuck. Yeah,
next.
No, I can't remember. I love Dishonored, but I can't remember that.
Okay, next up. If our lives are already written, it would take a courageous man to change the script. Is that a game or a movie?
I think that's a movie.
It's a game, Alan Wake, and it was Alan Wake of Alan Wake.
I haven't played Alan Wake.
Let you off. Next up. Imagine what horrible fate awaits my enemies when I would gladly kill any of my own men for victory.
A film.
It is a movie. We've had 2 games in a row. It had to be a movie. This is from the aforementioned movie 300. Xerxes.
Yeah, because I see now I know that one, and I can hear where he says it because he's got a really weirdly deep voice.
There you go. So 1 of 3 so far. Next up. Often when we guess at others' motives, we reveal only our own.
Let's go for a game. I haven't said game yet.
Oh, it had to be a game. It's so cheesy. I was like, it's got to be one of those cheesy games. Yeah, it's Destiny. Mara Sov from Destiny. That's 2 for 4 so far. Next up. And when Alexander saw the breadth of his domain, he wept, for there were no more worlds to conquer. Game or a movie?
Well, that's talking about Alexander the Great, and I guarantee that's in a game and a movie somewhere. But it's certainly in a movie.
That is true. It's Hans Gruber from Die Hard, the classic Christmas movie.
More than that, I think Die Hard's an amazing film, but beyond being in that movie, it's also just a sort of quote anyway.
It is a quote, yeah.
So
what's 3 so far? 3 of 5. You're doing well. I like to play with things a while before annihilation. Is that a movie or a game? I like to play with things a while before annihilation.
Oh, I think that's Death Stranding, and I think it's Higgs.
Absolutely wrong. That is...
Fuck.
Ming the Merciless from Flash Gordon. 3 of 6, unlucky. Next, you were so happy with yourself.
I was convinced because it sounds like the wanky things that Kojima writes.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, to be fair, I also haven't seen. I mean, I've seen a little bit of Flash Gordon, but I think a lot of the ones I don't know, I just haven't seen.
Yeah.
I mean, I should have got Dishonored, but I have only played it once, and it was years ago.
I don't remember any other quotes from movies I watch, I'll be honest, so you're doing well to get 3 so far. Next up, you are here and it's beautiful, and escaping isn't always something bad.
No idea. Let's go for a game.
It is a game. It's Delilah from Firewatch, which I've played, and I didn't even remember this, so, good guess.
I've not played Firewatch. See, I love your quizzes, Metal Shark, right? But the problem with them is a lot of the time, if you don't know, you don't know, you can't work it out.
It's 50-50,
like,
man. It's 50-50.
Exactly, it's just 50-50.
So you're doing all right. You got 4 out of 7. What are you complaining about? Next up, killing a woman. It's not the same as killing a man. You have to pull the trigger a different way.
I mean, that's just sexist. It sounds like the kind of thing someone like Arthur Morgan would say. Mm-hmm. Some old-fashioned type. So I'm going to say... I don't know. I'm going to say a movie, actually.
It's a movie. Congratulations. That was Miguel Bain from Assassins. You're up to 5 of 8. Next up.
No idea what that film is.
Yeah, no me. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better.
Does someone say that in Dark Souls or something?
That's the essence of Dark Souls, right?
Yeah.
Get a good
It sounds
scrub.
like a video gamey thing, so I'm gonna say it's a video game.
It is. It is Chief from Animal Crossing. Get a good scrub. I mean, who knew it?
I did not see that coming.
Animal Crossing had such harsh language for people.
Hardcore
Get a good scrub.
Crossing.
All right, we're doing well now. What you on? 6? Yeah, you're on 6. 6 of 9. Last one. Life is a game, so fight for survival and see if you're worth it.
Again, that sounds like a battle royale type thing. But then again, there could be a game like a Fortnite type thing, or a movie like the movie Battle Royale. Fuck it. Let's go for a movie. Let's finish it on a movie.
You know what? You're spot on there, dude. It is the movie Battle Royale. Takeshi Kitano. You thought that one out, see? You didn't just guess, and that just disproves what you said earlier about the questions.
It ultimately was a guess. I thought about it, and I still had to have a guess.
Well done. I think you got 7 out of 10 there. That's the best score for a while. And yeah.
Well, I haven't.
Maybe you do better next week.
No, Gaz's turn next week. But so I have played Dishonored. I haven't played Alan Wake. I have seen 300. I haven't played Destiny. I have seen Die Hard. I haven't seen Flash Gordon. I haven't played Firewatch. No idea what Assassins is. I don't play Animal Crossing, so that's 6. And I haven't seen Battle Royale, so that's 7. So I only knew 3 of the mediums, the 3 art forms or whatever.
And you got this.
But so I'm pretty impressed with how well I've done.
You did really well there, Henry. You did really well. I think you should do better next week, though.
I shall do better in my asking of the questions.
Should we move on to the next question?
Okay, that's another one from Metal Shark. Would you rather harvest a field of wheat in Farming Simulator where the accelerator was controlled by closing both of your eyes, or do a delivery through a city in Truck Simulator where each time you stop you have to do a burpee?
I had to Google what burpee is.
Isn't burpee where it's like a push-up into like a jump?
Yeah, squat jump thing. Yeah, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's basically down to a push-up and then squat jump. And that's a burpee. So I think the prospect of controlling my tractor by closing my eyes for the accelerator, that would be a challenge, and I think it would be something that I would really quite enjoy. So I would I would harvest a field of wheat in Farming Simulator where the accelerator was controlled by closing both of my eyes. I think that's my answer.
I think I'll take the burpee one in Truck Simulator because it'll make me do a little bit of exercise, which I don't do any of. But also it'll motivate me to not stop because I don't want to do another burpee.
There you go. Okay, thanks for your questions, both of them this week, Mr. Metal Shark. We're going to move on to Metal Viking. Not Metal Shark, this is Metal Viking. So, Metal Viking asks, with the recent influx of remasters, do you think it makes sense to consider them a Game of the Year contender? Obviously, meant for individuals' Game of the Year, not in an awards show setting. I feel that because it's a remake of a game that came out years ago, it shouldn't be praised so highly in comparison to newer games who are either continuing stories, Red Dead Redemption 2 or God of War 4, or brand new ideas, Ghost of Tsushima and Cyberpunk 2077. Just seems odd to me that people praise them so much. Is it a nostalgia? Question mark. It's a good question.
Well, I mean, I think the best game of last year was Resident Evil 2 Remake, and that's nothing to do with my nostalgia because I never played the original.
Yeah.
So in my opinion and my personal perspective on that specific title, yeah, I don't have any problem with it being in the Game of the Year contention because it's nothing like the original. It's not a remaster because a remaster is just upscaling. Well, generally, this is the generally accepted definitions because we don't really have a concrete thing of them. Remaster is just upscaled graphics and making it look pretty, whereas a remake is completely reinventing itself, especially when you take a game like Final Fantasy VII, which has made a lot of changes and quite controversial changes at that. So that very much stands on its own in its own way. And yeah, context, but because it had the original one to work from, yeah, that is part of it. But I don't think that's that different to any game that rips off any of those things that aren't technically remakes, if that makes sense.
Well, the question specifically here was remasters, right? So I guess remake doesn't apply in this case.
So, so remasters, no. Then if they are just visual overhauls, because that's generally what a remaster is. But a remake, I don't feel like there's a problem with that at all.
Yeah, remasters is a different beast entirely because there's a lot less effort that goes into them. But then again, he does say remake in the other part of the question. I feel like because it's a remake of a game, yeah. So I guess it does include remakes too. But there you go. Yeah, I think it's kind of the same. I think if it's a remake, if they made a full game from scratch, because they can't use very many, if any, assets from the originals. But then again, people do praise games unnecessarily sometimes because of nostalgia, and I think that's something to look out for with these games, that some of the reviewers might have had a decent experience in the past. You've just got to try and pick through the review to see, if you haven't played the game as they have, are you going to have the same experience? So it's just a buyer beware type of thing there. But thanks for your question, Mr. Metal Viking. We appreciate it very much.
Okay, is it me for the next one?
It is.
I think so. Okay, this is from Lochgar. Do you have any superstitious traditions you perform before uploading a video in the hopes it will perform better in the algorithm? Similarly to sports fans' traditions that supposedly help their teams win? Yeah, I wear the same pair of pants every time I upload a video.
We sacrifice a couple of virgins to the internet gods, is what we do.
And there's plenty of virgins in the fucking comment sections.
Yeah.
Dweebs.
There you go. Effing dweebs.
No, I don't do anything. I just pray a little bit.
Yeah. No,
all you can do is
superstitious, isn't it? I personally, I don't do anything. What I started doing on the music channel though was setting videos to Premiere. So basically, they play live as you're watching. So it's like a live stream of the video. And it's quite a good way to interact with your followers because there's a live chat, which I don't know if you've seen it. Like there's basically a countdown. You set it for to release at 4 o'clock, whatever. So everyone gets notified. Oh, there's a new whatever video from this channel releasing at 4 o'clock. Come and watch the premiere of it. So everyone sits down together at 4 o'clock and watches it through. and they're obviously chatting at the same time. So it's a good way to interact. And then afterwards, the premiere gets just as a regular video. The live chat can still be seen, but then like comments are separate, and I think all the views get counted into. So I don't know. Maybe we should dabble with that. I don't know. I think it works pretty well for my music channel, because people just generally come in and go, "Oh, Gareth Evans, thank you very much," and there's just so many people like, "Oh, we love you guys. Thank you for coming back." I doubt that the messages would be so complimentary in PGG. Just by a lot of 12-year-old virgins screaming, "Get good scrub," and that type of thing. Yeah, but I don't know. It's maybe you should look at that. It might be cool.
Maybe. I'm not really superstitious about anything, to be honest. Like whether it's uploading a video or seeing a black cat. I don't believe
you don't
it.
salute at magpies, no?
No, my girlfriend does all the time, and I take the piss out of her, and I'll prompt her if I see one and she doesn't. I mean, my life is going to go on unaffected by any of this stuff.
Henry, I don't give a fuck, Cooper. I'll walk under a ladder. Fuck that. I don't give a shit.
I mean, walking under a ladder is just stupid, because if there's a bucket up there or a person, it's going to land on your head. Why put yourself in danger like that? That's a dumb one.
There you go.
Well, I've always thought people who believe in luck are more lucky or unlucky, because that's how they perceive the world. Like, if you believe in luck, then things happen. Anything that happens, you'll put down to good luck or bad luck. But I don't really...
Yeah, confirmation bias, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anywho,
thanks for the question, Mr. Lochka. We'll move on to Earthwind Ben. And his question is as follows. So we all know the NVIDIA Now debacle. So we have Valve, whom work on Proton, which is a free piece of software that allows you to play your purchased games on the Linux platform, in very simple terms, similar to NVIDIA Now. Would you see devs and publishers making a fuss over their Windows game being accessed on Linux if there was actually a bigger market for Linux gaming? So we all know... Oh, it's doubled over that for some reason. So, I mean... Just a quick recap on the NVIDIA Now situation. They allow people to play their Steam library remotely on this service. So they set up a computer, you log into Steam on it, and then you can stream your game. So you don't need a high gaming PC to play your Steam library. Developers got pissed off. One of them was the guy from Overwatch. I think was it the guy from Overwatch? I can't remember. I can't remember who it was. But one of them got the Long Dark. It was one of the developers, and a bunch of others were like, "Nah, we don't want you doing this. You don't have the license to be able to stream games like this." So NVIDIA Now had to take off a lot of games that were available for this service, just because they got pissed off. Now, so that's with that background. With this Proton software that Valve are working on, it's a free piece of software that allows you to search games on Linux. So the question is, would you see devs and publishers making a fuss over the Windows game being accessed to Linux? I would say yes, because they can always argue, we're missing out on a couple of purchases because people on Linux or whatever will not buy it anymore or whatever. Whenever there is a dispute over this type of thing, you'll always find devs being like, well, we could make more money this way, and they'll be advised by publishers or whatever. Well, I definitely think that wherever there's a potential money being lost, there will be someone with a problem, and I think that this is a potential. It could be interpreted as money lost. So that's all it takes these days.
Yeah, and I think the crux of it is, as you say, if Linux actually had a bigger presence in gaming than it currently does, I don't think it's really on enough of these developers' radars for them to really give a shit. If it became a big deal, then and their accountants were telling them that they're losing whole percentages, then they'd give a shit. But I don't think they're that fussed right now.
All right, cool. Thanks for the question, Mr. Earthwind Ben. Let's move on.
Okay, next up is Clone99. I'm not in the right headspace. Thankfully, I recently rediscovered an old document I prepared for weeks like this. Oh, Christ. Shag, Marry, Kill, the fast or the faster edition. So you've got pre-written Shag, Marry, Kill questions. All the people who don't like them in the comments, fair enough, you don't have to like them, but evidently they're going to keep coming from Cloney. So you have to get used to it. Okay, so Rosalina, the racing princess of Mario Kart fame, who also happens to be the literal guardian of the cosmos. Well, she's not just of Mario Kart fame. She was in Mario Galaxy, and that game was actually pretty good from when I played it once. Next up, Faith Connors, the fastest parkour wall crawler called Runner. The fastest parkour wall crawler called Runner there is, defeating the totalitarian government one package at a time. Basically, she was Bridges before BTs came, as in Death Stranding, from Mirror's Edge, okay? Faith from Mirror's Edge. And then Lena Tracer Oxton, the time-displaced jet pilot and test pilot for the world's first teleporting fighter aircraft of Overwatch fame. So it's Rosalina from Mario, Faith from Mirror's Edge, and Tracer from Overwatch.
Okay, I'm going to jump in here. I would marry the princess because she's going to rise to the throne. You know, that'd be a nice life to be, you know, I'd be a king. I'd literally be a king if I married Rosalina, so I am marrying Rosalina. I think the parkour girl's got to have a tiny body, right? So she's going to be the shag, and then by default, we'll kill Tracer. I don't know. I've never liked Faith as a character. I think she's really boring. Maybe it's also because I really didn't like Mirror's Edge, and I thought it was really overrated. So I think I'm going to agree with you and marry Rosalina because she's princess. I mean, let's join the royal family. I will shag Tracer because isn't she the one with the booty? Is she the one with the controversial booty pose? Wasn't that a thing? Am I making that? Is that a different game? And Faith can get pushed off one of the buildings she's climbing. Ooh, that is nasty. Anyway.
Nasty way to go. All right, so Cloney's choices. I'd personally stick Faith because have you seen that ass? Give Rosalina the stick. Sorry, Cosmos. But marry Tracer just so I can photograph her all day doing that banned butt pose that Blizzard had to change and that post on Imager and post that on Imager and Twitter all the time.
Just brag on social media.
The people who got upset about it because she's a fucking cartoon.
Yeah. But there you go. Thanks for your question.
All different answers there.
Yeah, cool. That was a cool one. Thanks, Cloney. Moving on to, there's 3 left now. Tons asks, Gaz, great seeing new stuff on the guitar channel again. Have you ever tried play video game music? I usually warm up with the Willy theme from Mega Man. No, I don't think I have actually. I've not covered one, that's for sure. But please leave me some requests. There must be some pretty decent video game music be able to cover. I don't really. No, I don't really think that those videos will be very popular because, you know, video game music is quite niche in comparison to the more, you know, mainstream music that I tend to cover. But I wouldn't rule it out, that's for sure. Leave us some suggestions maybe, and I might take a look.
Do an acoustic version of Rip and Tear from Doom.
Yeah, that could work maybe. I could do it.
Okay, next and final proper question from Tiddy Leds. To both of you, if you had to choose between the Elder Scrolls series and Fallout series, what would you choose? This doesn't include Elder Scrolls Online or Fallout 76. Also, LEDs if you don't want to annoy YouTube.
What
so, Tiddy LEDs. Well, Tiddy Leds, whatever your fucking name is, you're a new patron, you're welcome here no matter what your name is.
Got ya.
I think for me this is a no-brainer. I'd rather live in the Elder Scrolls world than in the Fallout world. That's just the
I mean, it doesn't say
long
live.
And short of it.
It says if you had to choose between.
Oh yeah, I'd choose to do the Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, to play Elder Scrolls. I mean,
I've always preferred Elder Scrolls. I've never been able to get into Fallout. It's never clicked with me right, but Elder Scrolls is just Skyrim is. There's a reason they've ported it 1,000 times.
Yeah, I've got great both of these franchises hold dear places in my heart. So it's just like choosing between two children, essentially, for me. I would probably say that Fallout pips it, and I would keep Fallout because of Fallout New Vegas, essentially, and Fallout 4. I had a decent time with. Fallout 3 was exceptional. There's just something more about the less fantasy, less dragony, less vampire-y type of world for me. I think it's a little bit more gritty, I think, Fallout. I think I like that. Let's go with Fallout. Thanks for the question, Mr. T. Lads. We really appreciate it. And let's move on to the very last question, which is the proxy question from Not That Rob Lowe, Game of the Ages. Now, this is the question every single week where we get asked what was our favourite game from a given year past our birth. So each week we had 1 year. This week it's 2009 for me. Henry's run out of years because he's such a young whippersnapper. He's moved on to films. And the 2009 game that stuck with me the most. Now, I didn't play a lot of AAA games in 2009. I didn't have a lot of time for gaming at all. That's my excuse for this answer anyway. It was the year that I began uploading on YouTube. So that was at that part of my life. I had two young daughters. One young daughter. I can't even remember when they were born. One on the way, I think.
One young son.
Yeah, and recently married, and I just started uploading guitar lessons on YouTube. The game that I played from that year that stuck with me most, that I played the most, and I still play to this day, I played a couple of weeks ago, was Minecraft. Now, hate me if you like for that, call me a scrub, whatever. I played with my kids the other week a good amount of times, and I had a lot of fun with them. It's a good way. It's one of those games that appeals to a lot of kind of age groups, and I think for what Minecraft's achieved since it was created and the popularity it's gained, I don't care if you hate me for answering this. I'm going to say Minecraft is my game of 2009.
You're not a real gamer. No, fuck it. If you like it, you like it. Who gives a shit? So yeah, I'm on to movies now because I ran out of games, and movies is much harder because there's a lot more high quality games a lot earlier on. Now, high quality movies a lot earlier on. This sentence is going away from me, but the list begins with Fight Club. It's 1999 is the year. Fight Club, American Beauty, The Sixth Sense, Toy Story 2, Iron Giant, Eyes Wide Shut, The Green Mile, 10 Things I Hate About You, Notting Hill, The Mummy. There's just so many good ones, so many bad ones too, but undeniably the winner is The Matrix. It's undisputed.
Yeah.
It is my
champion of the world.
Joint. It's my joint number one action movie of all time is The Matrix and Die Hard. They are both the perfect action movies for what they are. Especially The Matrix is it's sort of a thinking man's action movie. It likes to think it's really intelligent, but it's not really. The philosophy's quite obvious and on the nose, but it's still amazing. It's brilliant, and every movie since has tried to copy it.
That's cool. Thanks for the question by proxy there, Mr. Not That Rob Lowe. We are going to move on to the next segment. Now, we don't really have a Triggered Fanboy comment, so no jingle this week. We're just going to move on to the top YouTube comments from this week, and hopefully we'll find a triggered one in there. Like we said, you were ill on Monday, so there was no video then. We've only had maybe 2 or 3 videos since the last podcast. And one of those we haven't read any of the comments on because it was the I skimmed the comments, right, and I was like, I've regretted it because I read just one dickhead just trying to spoil something, and I don't think it was that serious of a spoiler. I didn't spoil too much, but I was like, I'm going to stop it now. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, it was concerning the leaks of The Last of Us Part 2, where the whole story was put out there online. We avoided them as much as possible. However, we covered the fact that it was leaked. And there's loads of people in that video going, well, if you knew what the leaks were, then you would understand the outrage and you would understand how they're going to be losing money. And I'm like, God, for fuck's...
That's not how storytelling works. You can't just jump to the end of something, read some shit out of context, see some fucking cutscenes without stuff, and then expect to know the whole story. That's not how context works. No matter what happens, even if the fucking Jesus Christ himself shows up to teabag the bloated corpse of Doom guy from fucking Doom, you don't know the context. It might justify it.
Yeah.
And and people saying, "Oh, it saved me $60." All right, cool, but
you were never going to buy the game anyway.
I'm not buying the game to make a fulfilling purchase. I'm buying the game because I want to engage with the story and the art form, and I don't jumping ahead at stuff to save yourself money. Then why were you bothering with this in the first place? Why were you weren't ever considering it as art to engage with. You were just considering it a product. And while you could say that's a fine opinion to have, it's backwards to me. I think
the bottom line is that the majority of these people who are flaming about what the story leaks are weren't going to buy the game anyway. For the majority of comments that I saw, SJW pandering bullshit, Anita Sarkeesian, that was one name that was thrown around, and I was like, nah. And I'm like, yeah, but what? Oh, no, won't buy this game. It's a trash mirror. How's the game play? Ellie's gay. How does the game play? Well, I can't believe that they've done this. I'm not buying it. How does the game play? They don't know that. I'm never going to buy this shit because the story's bollocks. How does the game play? It just blows my mind that people... maybe it's just them just spouting off because they were never going to buy the game anyway, and that's what I put it down to. But it's like... you come online and you think anybody gives a fuck about your opinion, honestly.
This is a good place to bring in, because I did the same. I had a glance at some comments and I caught one which I think is a perfect example of this backwards thinking I'm talking about. And it's on that video, and it says, where are we? I'm boycotting this game. Art expression in video games has been ruined by forced leftist social agenda. Now, arguing there's a social agenda there, I mean, from the first few trailers, it was clear that it was leading into progressive themes, which I personally don't really have a problem with. I know a lot of people do, and that's fine. But saying that art expression is being ruined by that is the most hypocritical and ironic thing I've heard in a long time. You think that they're telling you what to think by putting these progressive themes in it. Okay, it's an opinion. A lot of people have it. But you telling them not to do it is stifling their artistic expression, which you are holding up as the bastion of what you think is the most important, and you're boycotting it. You're boycotting them because they say things you don't agree with. That's a fine reason, but don't pretend it's because of artistic expression. They are maintaining their artistic expression by telling their story. If you don't like it, that's completely fine, but you can't tell them not to, and hiding behind the idea that it's they're being ruined by SJW shit. Okay, yeah, maybe they are, but that's their expression.
Yeah, and that's your opinion. Being ruined or whatever.
They don't think so.
Yeah.
This thing is dumb.
They hold a different opinion. They hold different values. They appreciate different way of thinking. You don't feel that way, don't buy the game. That's up to you. You're perfectly entitled to think that. But when you start spewing bile onto the internet, this is... Just have a word. Have a word with yourself in it.
And maybe they are trying to force you to believe a certain way. Maybe they are trying to indoctrinate you into this radical leftist way of thinking, and that's the worst thing in the world. Or maybe they're just telling a story they want, with characters they want, that are written in the way they want.
Yeah.
Because they can do what they want.
Yeah. And they're totally allowed to.
And maybe they're not trying to pander to the 1%, which, I mean, not a lot of most of the population doesn't fit into the LGBTQIA alphabet, whatever. A lot of the world doesn't fit into that, but maybe they're not trying to pander to that. Maybe they're just trying to tell a story. Just let them do it, man. And if you don't like it...
No, sorry. If you don't like it, what, Henry?
That's all right. We've been
Don't
on
leave
this.
us-
We've been on this horse for a while. We need to move on before we keep ranting and going in circles. We're already starting.
Okay, so my first question is on last week's... my first YouTube comment from last week. On last week's podcast, we were talking about... I think the SMK was Ygritte, right? And one of your quotes was, "How do I compete with Jon Snow?"
Yeah.
Right? So someone, Ravage 3D Work, comments, "Henry, how do I compete with Jon Snow? Everyone else, as if you can take on Spider-Man or Casey Jones," who were the...
Yeah, they're the other. So I saw that one and I was like, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. But I mean purely visually, right? So Donatello, he's a turtle. I think I don't like to blow my own horn, but I think I'm more attractive than a mutant turtle. Sorry, teenage mutant turtle.
I wouldn't be
he's
so
a
sure
ninja,
about that,
he's
Henry.
in shape, but he's still a fucking
Not with
turtle.
that hair, dude.
I mean, everyone's got their type. Yeah, right. I'll hold on to the hair. There's more coming with that. Peter Parker, at least my perception of Peter Parker, he's not like the most attractive guy because he's nerdy. He's in super good shape because he's a superhero, but he's
Spider-Man, man.
He's a dork. Yeah, he's whatever. In a fight, Jon Snow's probably the least threatening out of all of them. Casey Jones, Donatello, Spider-Man, they'll all annihilate Jon Snow. Jon Snow's just a man. But Jon Snow's one of the best, most attractive men in the world, objectively. It's just a fact. He's really short, and I've got that on him. He's only like 5'8". It's pathetic. Get a real fucking height.
You squash him like a bug, man.
Yeah, pathetic. But yeah, I'm not threatened visually by Casey Jones or Peter Parker, but I am physically threatened by all of them.
Yeah. Okay. That clears that up. Do you have a comment?
And going off the hair thing, we've got a bit of a narrative with this person here called Kill the Rhythm. And it seems to start 2 weeks ago, but it's on a very old podcast from months ago. I think it's like back in November. And it's a guy called Kill the Rhythm. And he says, "Enough with the hair, you weirdos." Don't really get what he means. I mean, we've probably... At that time, I think I've got kind of a spiky thing going. We've both got product in the hair. Like, all right, whatever. It's...
Weirdos.
Okay. Then he comes back. And this is 1 week ago on my video about Mick Gordon's trouble with Bethesda and how they're fucking up his music and all that. Again, enough with the hair. And let me point out, my hairstyle in that video is a very different hairstyle to the one in the previous one from months ago, and is also about a month old.
This guy is...
My hair...
This guy has to be bald, right? This guy just hates hair, right? He's a bald guy who went bald out. You know, he didn't have any choice. It's just genetics. He's lost all his hair. He's upset about the fact that everyone else has got hair. So when he sees someone online who's got hair, he can't help but get angry. Enough with the hair. Stop having hair, people. That's right. It has to be that.
He comes back on the video about Battlefield again. Enough with the hair, bro. And again, it's the same. It's a month old, more than a month old, rehashed intros. It's amazing people haven't seemed to have noticed. I mean, although someone commented on last week's podcast when we revealed such the secret that he hadn't noticed yet. But yeah, and where's the other one? He keeps going. Here's the most recent one from yesterday's video about Battlefront unsubbing due to your haircut.
Oh, haircut.
He's probably not unsubbing because of it, but my hair doesn't currently look like it did then because it's longer and currently it's styled slightly differently. But I just think it's hilarious that this person's been upset by a hairstyle to comment 4 times.
And then even to suggest that he's going to unsubscribe because of all the things that you can be triggered by in our content, right? The fact that we wear our hair in a certain way, the stylistic choice of ours, unsubbing, I hate that hair. Maybe he's got some sort of some neuroses or something.
You see it for less than a minute of the video because it's the 7 seconds at the beginning where we do the intro, which people sometimes people still complain about. It's like, dude, it's literally 7 seconds every single time.
Enough with the faff.
Just skip it. Yeah, just skip it. And then, I don't know, 20 odd seconds at the end for the like, subscribe bollocks. You're not fucking looking at it for very long. How can it upset you that much? But I'm sorry, Mr. Kill Rhythm, sorry.
There you go.
I'm sorry I have hair that you don't like.
He's not going to be listening. He's unsubbed. Stuff, stuff
that's
in.
very true.
Let's see if he holds to that and doesn't watch any of our future content. The next comment here is Andrus Lionheart off the podcast last week. And he says, the dumb fucking dipshit comment of the week could also be a triggering fanboy comment of the week, since it kind of triggered Gaz, lol. And my response to that was, he's not... The dumb fucking dipshit of the week isn't special. It doesn't take much to trigger me, right? I get triggered by anything. So this dumb fucking dipshit of the week isn't special for triggering me, because I'm most triggered. So that was my response.
Yep, that's very true. I want to hear, I think it's from the podcast again last week, from Kara Jorma quoting me, I'm still waiting for a game to capture that essence, and talking about war movies, and he's just Spec Ops The Line. And that's a very, very, very good answer. And I should have brought it up. I completely slipped my mind, but because Spec Ops The Line is exactly that kind of hard-hitting war game, which isn't just, shoot brown man. It's... You're killing people, and you're meant to think about it and feel bad about it, and it poses a moral question. Spec Ops The Line is excellent for that, and that's the standard I'm looking for now, that no other game has had the balls to do. And it's what it was sort of touted that the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare was trying to do, but by all accounts it pulled all of its punches and didn't hit hard like it was really supposed to, and was sort of like fake edgy instead of actually being thought-provoking, which is a real shame. But yeah, that's the game quality I'm looking for.
Cool. So next up, Tony Schulman on your video yesterday, I believe, about EA pulling the plug on Battlefront 2. And he says, Jango Fett is better than Boba Fett. Not falling for that, triggered fanboy bait, Henry. Not falling for it. Well, it's trigger for you.
It's a little bit bait, because it's a little bit, and same with saying Rogue One's the best new Disney Star Wars film, and I thought that would upset more people than Django, because who was it? You Tons? I think it was you Tons. You commented on in Discord about it, saying how you can agree with me and disagree with me in one segment, and I'm like, yeah, Jango Fett is based purely on what we see in the movies. I'm not talking about comics, because I've seen some of the badass shit he does. He's really cool. But Jango Fett is so much fucking better than Boba Fett based on exclusively the movies. He's only in one, because he gets murdered by Mace Windu like a chump. But Boba Fett doesn't do a fucking thing. Boba Fett's got a lot of mystique around him in Empire. He's really mysterious. He's told no disintegrations. I'm certain I've talked about this before. That means that he's been hired by the Empire before, so he's pretty good. He's got to be pretty good. He's disintegrated people. That's pretty scary. He's like, Darth Vader kept him alive after doing that. He didn't want him to do it, and he did it, but he managed to still be alive. That's how important he is to the Empire. And then he's been invited back for another job, to track down Han Solo and the crew. That's great. That's a sense of mystery and mystique. But then as soon as you get to Return of the Jedi, he's swatted by a blind Han Solo, flung against the side of Jabba's barge, and then eaten by the Sarlacc. It's pathetic. He's a wimp. There's nothing. Jango Fett takes on Obi-Wan and fucking holds his own against Obi-Wan, a fully trained Jedi Master, in the rain, and doesn't die. He then murders another Jedi instantly as he drops in to try and kill Count Dooku. Count Dooku would have died. Count Dooku is also a fully trained Jedi and didn't react in time to stop him. He fucking wastes him and does a little Clint Eastwood twirl of his pistol. He's so much cooler based on what we see, and
you make a good case.
Wear that cross until I die.
You make a good case, that's for sure. I'm not getting involved in this. This isn't my battleground, that's for sure.
Mandalorian, he's pretty cool, but I don't know if he's quite up there as being Jango Fett level yet. But then he did. I won't talk about that because that's a bit of a spoiler. But
yeah, Mandalorian is cool as a cucumber, man. Cool as a cucumber. That's how cool he is. I've got one. Have you got? Sorry, your question now. Have you got another comment?
No, I haven't really got any more here.
I've got one more. I've got one more, and maybe you can finish on this before we go to the trigger. Bad dad joke. Now, on the topic of which two game worlds you could smash together to make a decent game world, on last week's podcast, Carlo Barbosa comments Mass Effect plus No Man's Sky. So you could have a first-person shooter FPS open world Mass Effect and be able to pilot the ship/dropship on missions and have space battles. Now, I did ask for good suggestions, and that was a pretty damn good suggestion in terms of smashing two game worlds together. That would work really well. No Man's Sky and Mass Effect. Pretty cool. Thanks for the comment there, Mr.
That's a damn good combo.
Carlo Barbosa. And with that, let's go on to the next and last final segment of this podcast. It is the bad dad joke of the week. All right, Henry, are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
How do you flatten a ghost?
I don't know. How do you flatten a ghost?
With a spirit level. There you go. It was a solid one this week. Absolute solid. So thanks everybody for listening to the podcast this far. And if you have taken the time to get to this part of the podcast, then I implore you, if you do enjoy our content and you want to see us continue, head over to patreon.com/prettygoodgaming and consider supporting us, because you'll get early access to this podcast. You'll have the satisfaction of knowing that you are contributing to the continued productions here at PGG, and you'll get to ask us questions for the podcast and access to the secrets Patreon-only area on the Discord, as well as anything else. All the other rewards that you can choose on Patreon. And that is it from us today. I would like to say thank you very much on behalf of Henry and myself, and we will see you again in the next video. Until then, bye for now.